All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Grizel. I'm the engineering manager with Trundl. This is my second session today. I'm actually going to be going over something a little bit more fun that's going to involve quite a bit of demonstration. We're going to be talking about Atlassian's Opsgenie alongside Jira ITSM, which is a specific section of Jira Service Management. But yes, thank you guys for joining. We'll do probably about 30 minutes of talking through the different products, the differences, as well as a demo of both and how they interact with each other. And then I'll leave some time, try to leave plenty of time for you all to ask any questions that you may have about this particular topic. So let's briefly, and this is actually the only slide that I have, and then we're going to do a demo. Let's briefly talk about what the difference is between these two products and what role it is that they fill. So Opsgenie is a tool that we find most of our clients are less familiar with compared to Jira. Jira obviously being kind of the flagship for Atlassian. Opsgenie's role is really that of kind of an aggregation of any alerting that you may have and then handling the incident lifecycle that's associated with that. So PagerDuty is a common competitor that gets, a line that gets drawn when we talk about Opsgenie, except that this tool actually goes beyond that in several ways, since it helps with a lot of your service health reporting, the follow-up postmortem process, which actually integrates with Confluence as well. And if you're using Bitbucket for your code management, source control management, you can actually do pipeline analysis directly between where code may be going to production and where incidents may be occurring in Opsgenie. Jira ITSM is really just Jira Service Management, but now Atlassian has delivered some of these they're calling next-gen templates that have touch points with Opsgenie with a focus around kind of the ITIL framework for service management. So we're going to take a look at that in depth, but that includes sort of the standard service request management. Hey, I need this thing, or I need someone to look at my, monitor, it's not working, down to, full-fledged change management with a change management calendar and the incident and problem management life cycles. Again, tied in with Opsgenie, Confluence, and Bitbucket. So with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and jump to a demo here. Let me get out of Keynote. And hopefully you guys can see my Opsgenie screen here. If not, just let me know in the chat there. But so what I have open is Atlassian's Opsgenie now. This is a purely SaaS product, cloud only. There is no data center version of Opsgenie. It runs in the same area as Jira Cloud and their other cloud platform systems. It's the reason that you don't see these types of tools on the data center is that you actually want them to be segregated from any of your own hardware. And the reason for that is, especially if you have, say, a major incident where you have a data center outage, something similar, you want the tools that you use to respond to that incident and manage it to resolution to be separate and apart from where your issues actually may be occurring, where the bulk of your product and service line exists. So that's one big reason why you want to always have these kind of in a SaaS side of things. So what I have pulled up is the alerts view. You'll notice the navigation is very similar to what you see in Jira, where you've got your kind of core menus along the horizontal toolbar at the top. And then within each section, you're going to see some navigations on the left-hand side as well. So the alerts view is sort of the homepage, if you will, because it's where any kind of outside triggers to let you know something is going on will come in. And these alerts can come from just about any system you can imagine. So I'll briefly look at what we have set up here, but it can be everything from Amazon Web Services, CloudWatch, to someone's actually just sending an email out to the intake service for Opsgenie. Let me pull this up so you can see the different integrations that are available. And this list is quite long. I'll briefly scroll through so you can kind of see what's available to you. Even if you don't see a service that you have for monitoring out here, there are custom solutions that get built all the time that either leverage the Opsgenie API or just can be as simple as sending an email to Opsgenie. There's an intake email address with the details about the alert, and then an alert gets generated. But you'll see here Amazon Web Services, Azure, all the major cloud providers And then all the major event management and incident management monitoring solutions are all here with very easy, easy to configure integrations. So what I'm going to do is actually trigger an alert so you can see what the process of responding to an alert looks like. Now I'm doing this manually, and this is not typically the way that you would see these coming in. But I'm just going to say, help, the system is down, nothing works, which is usually how it happens. And we're just going to say it's a P1. And any alert that comes in is usually based on a series of routing rules that you configure in the back end, going to be going to a specific team. And now that team is going to have an on-call schedule associated with it. And so the alert's going to route based on how you configure those things to either go to the on-call or maybe even the whole team. However you want that to look, you can define that here. In this case, I have a specific team in mind. I want the infrastructure folks to take a look at this. So I'm going to select that team. Now, because I did that, hopefully I'm the one that's on call. I'm going to get the page. If not, somebody's going to get woken up in another part of the team. So here we go. The alert's already been created in the feed. My phone actually just buzzed because I've got the app installed on my phone. The first thing I'm going to do is acknowledge this alert. So we've got the potential for an issue. We don't actually know if it's an incident yet, but we've at least received an alert. So I'm going to open this up. And again, I created this manually, but if this were to have come from AWS CloudWatch, for example, it's probably going to give me a lot more detail. What region did this occur in? What servers are impacted? What was this specific issue? Maybe it was CPU utilization had spiked on a server or something like that. Whatever it may be, those details would be here. And I would be able to see, who may have been alerted before me, before it actually came to me to be looked at. I can even see, okay, how was everybody alerted to this issue and who's actually looked at those alerts? Maybe just hasn't acknowledged it yet. Just different metadata about the alert as it comes in. So let's say I've acknowledged that this alert came in. We have a real problem. Maybe the data center is down completely. The next step here is that we're going to move into the incident section. That's this module right here. And what I'm going to do is select that alert. And if you had a data center outage, most likely you'd actually have a whole plethora of alerts coming from different sources to let you know that nothing seems to be working. This is where I would be able to select all the relevant alerts, and then from here actually just create an incident. So now I'm going to walk through the incident creation wizard, and the idea here is that everything from this point forward, you're going to go ahead and type these things in and fill out these fields so that you can communicate out what needs to be communicated. But also, from here forward, everyone's going to be able to focus on fixing the issue as opposed to, trying to make sure the right people are brought in, maybe trying to reach someone who can't be reached. All those things that sort of tend to happen whenever an incident occurs. By filling this out properly and using the templates that are available, we're able to bring the right folks in immediately, communicate what the issue is, have that flow out to the service desk portal as well as status page. We'll show that in a moment. But yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Create a message and say, hey, the data center is down. Here you would just give a descriptive summary. I'm not going to bore you all with typing anything in there. And then we would also indicate the impacted services. And this is going to show up a little bit farther down when we look at that pipeline analysis for incidents. But really what you're doing here is communicating, okay, what is impacted by this issue, right? And in this case, I'm going to select the demo service that I've created. It could be one or many services. You'll notice that in that list, there were a lot of Atlassian apps. So for example, if Jira, the entire Atlassian cloud were to go down, I would have selected all of the Atlassian cloud apps. Tags are really kind of a tool similar to labels in Jira for invoking different automations and things of that nature. And then we're also able to actually create a conference bridge. I'm not going to demo that today because it's a little bit esoteric, but it does just what you would imagine. It actually creates an Opsgenie a predefined conference bridge that people can come in and out of. Basically, the link will go out with the incident message. Makes it very easy to communicate. Here's where everyone is working on this issue, and you can join to help out. The action section, again, we're not going to demo any of that particular feature due to time constraints, but actions are a little bit more technically oriented automation features geared towards things like cloud engineering, where Maybe you see a particular alert and you want to invoke auto scaling in Amazon Web Services. Actions would allow you to do that. It basically sends a message back through the API to say, hey, because of this particular issue, we know automatically we need to do A, B, and C things. That's what actions allow you to do, and then move on to addressing the root cause of the issue. Stakeholder notification, so predefined within the service list. For instance, this JiraCon demo service, if we have outside stakeholders, they don't need to be licensed users of Opsgenie. If we want them to receive notification of this issue, this is where you would check that box and they automatically receive that notification. And then beneath that, of course, there's an email template that you can customize to give them specific information about the incident. All right, so next screen, we've got the team that we want to alert. Obviously, we can add multiple teams here. So if the issue is widespread, in the case of a data center outage, we may want to include networking, database, maybe specific people, our manager. That's where you would be able to add those folks here. Individual stakeholders. So if you know there's more people other than the people that were subscribed to that particular service that need to be notified, you can do that. And then we're going to actually create the incident itself. So now, if I navigate to the incident section where it's showing me open incidents, I can see the one that we just created. And now we're in our incident command view. So from here, we can basically update information about the incident as it happens. So if I find out that additional services are impacted, for example, I can add those here. If I want to take that. Sorry, guys, I think my audio cut out there for a second. If I want to take a view into the Bitbucket pipeline, for example, that's what that investigate potential causes would do. As long as your Bitbucket or other CI/CD tools integrated to Opsgenie, that's where you're able to see commits that were made recently that may be suspect in time with the outage. This is a useful tool for beginning your investigation. You'll notice there's links to Jira Service Management and Jira software. So the idea behind this is if you need to create tasks for folks, maybe you've gotten to the point where you've identified root cause and you need to create issues to track emergency changes that are made, that's where you can just do that in line here. And it creates the Jira associated Jira tickets and links them to the incident automatically in Jira for you. Similar feature with Jira Service Management, except that it's really based around linking. So when we look at the Jira ITSM side in a moment, one of the things that happens whenever you have an incident is that users may still call the help desk or submit tickets to the help desk reporting the issue. The idea is that you would link these incoming service requests to the incident so that when it does get resolved, it's much easier to close all those related issues out that users submitted kind of in bulk and with unified messaging. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. That's a very useful feature. And another reason they want to make it visible for the users that are, for the tech folks that may be working the issue is sometimes you may get some clues into root cause from your users as well. So if you have a first-tier support team that's attaching those incoming tickets to the incident, you at least have that to kind of search through and help as you do your investigation. And then lastly, on the left side here, we have the postmortem section. So by default, a postmortem is going to be required for any incident, and you can just put a due date out there. It's going to kind of remind you that at the end of the life cycle that postmortem is going to be required. Once we close this incident out, what you'll see is that a lot of information about the incident is going to automatically flow into the postmortem for you, so that you only have to really focus on the conversations with your team and additional details that need to be added. So in the communication panel, just that the incident command center is where I would log back into that web conference tool that we showed when we first created the incident. Anyone can just click on that and get logged in automatically and catch up on the conversation. We can send individual updates out to those stakeholders. So if you want to let them know as you find root cause, or as you're implementing a mitigation strategy for the issue, for the incident rather, you could send those updates here. Seeing the associated alerts, this is just viewing where I check the alerts that were coming in that were related. And then there's responder roles, and these can be customized. So if you need to now page additional teams and you want to assign roles for people in the incident, so they know what they need to be focused on, if you've got a lot of people involved, this is a useful feature. And then the last thing here, and this is all largely auto-populated, is that the timeline gets built based on all the actions that occur. So people responding to issues, additional people getting paged, all that gets added in the timeline. And again, you're going to see that flow into the postmortem once we finish here. So at the top, which is where we're updating the status, very similar to Jira, I'm going to actually go ahead and resolve this issue now. And you'll notice here at the top, one of the first things that happens is the postmortem kind of pops up to the top, and we can go ahead and create that. And the page that is going to come up here is, of course, it's being slow because I'm doing a demo. The page that's going to come up is very similar to a Confluence style wiki editor. I had to come out of dark mode for it to look normal, but it gives you basically a template to work from that you can fill out to complete your postmortem. It's also going to attach some analytics about response times for responders on the particular incident, just various analytics that leadership may be interested in. And then the details on the right are all those things that auto-populate that I mentioned. So who responded, what were the roles of the team, what services were impacted, can I look at the timeline? And even just this postmortem has its own statuses that you can set if you want to circulate it with folks and have them review it first before it gets formally published. And then, of course, once you publish it, you get the option of actually exporting it out to Confluence. So that's beneficial because you may want people to review the postmortem or be aware of the details that don't have a licensed Opsgenie, or you don't care for them navigating through Opsgenie to try to find it. This export function lets them have a nice place to view it within Confluence, which they may be more used to working with it. So let me come back and look at and I apologize if you can hear my dog panting. There's a storm happening right now where we're at, so he's a little scared. But this incident that's out here, what I'm going to do is actually pivot over to Jira now. I've kind of given you the high level of how Opsgenie operates and the life cycle of incidents there. On the Jira side, what I have open here is a demo of that next-gen ITSM template that Atlassian's made available in Jira Cloud. And when you open one of these templatized projects, you're going to notice a lot of things that are pretty different about the project compared to a traditional, so what we'll call one of the old school projects of Jira. You get the queues, which we've always had, but you also see there's these kind of predefined queues for things like service requests, which I entered a few just sort of as a demo. This comes canned as sort of an entire service management tool. So when you look at the customer portal side of this, you'll see just traditional IT requests. Hey, I need some new hardware, or I think something is broken. Those are going to come in and automatically filter out to these predefined queues. But you'll also see these areas for incidents and problems. So if I go into the incident section, what should appear, if I did this properly, was the incident that we were just working on. Here we go. So it's resolved now, so it's showing in the past, but open incidents obviously will show up in this left-hand section, and then past incidents are out there for us to go out and view and actually check on the postmortem as well. So the reason that this is really beneficial is because, again, when we're thinking about people that need to know information from Opsgenie, but don't necessarily need to be in Opsgenie and working in Opsgenie, this is really helpful. So for example, your first tier support folks that are actually working in Jira Service Management all the time, this gives them that visibility into the incident, what's going on, so they can communicate down to folks that may be calling into the help desk. It kind of bridges that gap between the first tier group and then the folks that are actually working through trying to resolve the incident. The next thing is the problem section. I won't spend a ton of time on this. So, ITIL framework, a problem is really just the cause of one or more incidents. So the idea here is that once you've identified root cause on a particular incident, you would create a problem ticket for that inside of the Jira Service Desk and link out to any incidents that are related to it. And again, it's just about visibility, right? So now we have a nice catalog of open problems, and that's going to be helpful for your first tier folks as they have issues reported back up to them that are related to these things. They can link them to the problem and also be aware when it gets resolved by checking the problem queue. And then the last thing, which I did here, is eventually going to be, as part of the Atlassian roadmap, is going to be rolled out to more than just the ITSM template, which is great, is this change management feature, which I think has kind of been long overdue, and a lot of our clients in particular are really excited about it. Essentially, it's just that. It's traditional change management. So a user would request any kind of change to be made, and it comes with a predefined workflow that requires approvals, and you can set approval groups just like a regular Jira Service Desk project. The difference is that once you go through the process of requesting that change, one thing that you can do is actually schedule out. So you'll notice a lot of the ITIL based language here. But actually, let me just create one so you can see specifically. Yeah, so request a change. I'm just going to say, I need to reboot the server. Certainly, you could customize the screen to do anything that you need. And I'm going to open that particular ticket. And so you'll notice this button up here for schedule change. And this is where it gets really handy. So it's going to bring up a calendar view. And if we were to have, say, numerous projects out there with other changes, that's kind of one of the issues with change control, is trying to make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes, not interacting with, business goals or change freezes. These would already be here. And so now I can just kind of look at this calendar and make an informed decision about when I can or cannot do this. And so here I am looking at today. I want to do this tonight. Well, we're patching the server from 4 to 6. Better not do it then. I can just drag and drop on the time slot that I want to make that happen on and hit save. And now it's scheduled. And of course, it would go through the standard workflow. I won't bore you all with Jira workflows because you're probably very familiar with them, but this can be customized. This is just the out-of-the-box template that Atlassian provides, but approvals are a big part of this. And you can make that individual approvals or assigning specific groups to approve every change. So this is a very neat feature that's coming, that's already here, I should say, in the ITSM template, and is either already there or about to come for broader projects if you want to see them. Other new things that are part of that same template. So this change calendar under the ops section is this exact same thing I just showed you, but it's just a place that people can go to see all the changes. Of course, comes with those nice filters. So if you just want to, if you only care about specific projects, of course, you could select those and view them there. Or maybe you only want to see ones that impact specific services. That's available to you as well. So you may recall during the process of selecting incidents that were, what services were impacted by this particular incident. That's where this services menu comes into play. So a service is just that. It's anything that something could potentially go wrong to. And it's just a way to basically reflect the health of things that matter to your company. They could be internal or external. So here's just kind of an example. This list is drawn from Opsgenie. So this is, again, coming back to that idea that some folks in Jira Service Management may need to be able to see into what's going on in Opsgenie. And this is just another one of those views. Same with the next two buttons. So the alerts section will just take me to that same alerts homepage. It's just a pass-through link. And then the on-call section, interestingly, will give you an idea, maybe again for your first year folks, who exactly is on call. So this is the view of that particular schedule that we were looking at, with that red line being, the current time. We can see right now it's coming off of me into Shrinu, who's going to be on call. So more very useful stuff that they've added to the Jira Service Management portal. And the rest of these are going to be just regular out of the box available JSM project functionality. So I did want to briefly also look at for those who may not be used to working within Opsgenie, briefly show you all this view as well. As I mentioned, any alert that comes in is typically going to be routed to a specific team. And that's where this team configuration view comes into play. So you're going to see that there's a lot of configuration around a specific team, but the most important ones being the escalation policy. So if an alert comes in, I can configure exactly how that alert gets processed. In this case, what we're looking at is the alert comes in and immediately it alerts the on-call. But if they don't acknowledge that within 10 minutes, then it's going to start, it's going to notify actually all of the users within the team. and eventually the administrators after 20 minutes. But these routing escalation policies can be modified pretty much to however you can imagine them to be. In some cases they can do kind of a round robin alerting if someone doesn't respond when they're supposed to. It can pass along to other teams if you need to. So maybe everyone on this team is out on vacation and no one realized it, and you want it to go to a different team, you can do that here as well. So it's very highly modifiable. And then the actual schedule of folks, defining who is on call, that's where this on-call schedule section at the bottom comes into play. So you'll notice there's different rotations that we have. In this case, this is a 24/7 model with a rotation on the weekends. You basically just have your who was scheduled at the top, and then this overrides and final section is just for keeping track of changes based on maybe somebody was on leave unexpectedly and they need to take over. That's what the overrides are for. But again, very powerful tool in the paging and alerting section. And there's been a lot of growth and evolution in how they're able to integrate it with the existing Atlassian stack. So I will pause there and just see if there's any questions. I wanted to make sure that this was collaborative and not you all listening to me the entire time. So anything about any interesting thing or question you guys have about what we've looked at so far? Nothing yet. That's okay. I'll take a look at.
Hey, I've got a quick question. Just related to the change management side of things. Sometimes change management's built into Jira software. Is there a benefit of pushing it through Service Desk versus software?
When you speak to the change management that's built into Jira software, what are you thinking about in particular?
It's custom processes. So I guess before Jira Service Desk was actually launched, a lot of people would be building those processes into Jira software because maybe they didn't have somewhere else to do it. So now that Jira Service Desk is in play, do you switch over? Do you leave your processes in Jira software?
Yeah, I think I think you're gonna have to assess it on a case-by-case basis. Because I have clients that have built a lot of automation and customization around change management, like you just said, where it wasn't here, in Jira Service Management, but they have, outgoing integrations every time something gets approved, and all kinds of timings and scripting, custom scripts that are involved. With those clients, I would say really just evaluate what the value is for what they've delivered here in Jira Service Management side, and think critically about whether or not you want to go through the process of switching over. Okay. In that case, honestly, my advice would be probably to wait a little bit, because this is still pretty new to the Jira Service Desk side. And from what I've seen on the roadmaps, there's going to be more and more features coming out over the next year or so. So I would wait and see, where they land with it. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more integration with the Jira software side, possibly on the release management, section that's not there today. So in that case, I would probably hold out and just see where things go.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? I had a couple other things we can take a look at if not. So on the Opsgenie side, a couple other things. One was the analytics portal. So I didn't necessarily take a look at this, but these are all canned reports that you get from Opsgenie, and it's really looking at how well your team is doing at responding to and resolving alerts. So, but the typical metrics that folks are looking at are mean time to alert, mean time to response, and all those are predefined here. So some of our mature organizations really do have everything rolling through Opsgenie, and some of them have over like 100 integrations for things that are coming in and being alerted to. When they have that really well refined and they're not getting the alert fatigue, and they're making sure that what does come in is usually really a problem, these can be really powerful analytics to have. I wish I had some better examples, preloaded for you guys, but it looks like we haven't had any issues in a while. So I did want to mention the analytics section. Postmortem we talked about. Also talked about the upcoming features. Yeah, so overall, the other thing I just wanted to mention, so these things came out as part of that ITSM next gen template. And so from what I understand, you may not see them whenever you create a traditional projects or even some of the other templatized projects that aren't the ITSM one. You will see some of these features start to pop up though, especially if you're on Jira Cloud, over time. They have said that they're going to kind of expand the feature and functionality out to the traditional projects. One question that comes up a lot is, do I have to be on Jira Cloud for this integration to work? The answer is no. You will need to be upgraded to at least, I believe it's 8.17 in order to take advantage of the Opsgenie integration. So if you're running Jira Data Center and you want to run Opsgenie, you can still do that. And same with Bitbucket and Confluence. The connectivity is still there. You'll just need to make sure that your firewall rules are well thought out, and that you are allowing Opsgenie to connect to your instance if you're behind a firewall and require folks to connect to VPN in order to access Jira. All right. Any other questions you guys may have? Do a quick time check. Looks we've got about 10 minutes or so. Anything on the Jira Service Management side or Opsgenie? Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions about. If not, I am also happy to give you all 10 to 15 minutes back. All right, then. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of the conference, and I'll pull up the what's up next slide so you can see what else we have going on here.
It was all quite crystal clear. Thank you for the presentation.
Appreciate it. Thank you.